decorator, we will move to the different anonymous function and all. Okay. So what is closure? Closure is basically, it's a function which returns inner function as output. Okay, this is closure. Now, so let's say we have a function f1 and we have one more function here, inner, and we have print okay. So as of now, I'm not returning anything. I just want to check one thing from your side is, let's say if I want to call this function, so I have called it inside where? Inside extended scope of f1, right? Means inside f1 I have called this inner. So this inner will be executed. So output will be what? Can anyone please tell me the order of output?
Inside inner function, then outer function.
No, inside
No, first outer, then inner.
and then inner function. So first you are calling f1 function. From here the control will come inside this. Def f1 is not the execution of f1 function. It is just the definition, right? So from line number 2 we will come to line number 7 directly. From here the control will go inside this. It will execute this. Then inner function is defined, and then you will call the inner function from here. So then this line will be executed. So first this line inside outer function and then inside inner function, right? Correct. Now let's say if I want to have the implementation of inner function outside this f1 function, can I do that? Means I want to call inner function from outside of the outer function. Can I do that? Or from the global scope? Can I do that?
Not possible.
Hmm?
Not possible.
Not possible because it is in the local scope of f1, right? You cannot call it from outside. So this is the scope rules, right? Scope rule says what? We are calling inner function into global scope. So it will look for it in the global scope. In global scope, you don't have inner, you have f1. Okay. Global scope, it is not there. Built-in scope also it is not there. So it is giving you name error. Clear? So you cannot call this. Now what is the way to call to have this inner functionality outside, or to implement this inner functionality in the global scope? How we can do that? So there is something called function aliasing. What is this? So first of all, let's say we have one function f1, print this is f1 function. Yeah. If I'm calling f1 10, 20, what will be the output?
30.
This is f1 function. If you will print this, then this is f1 function and then 30, right? This is how it is going to be. Okay. Now let's say if I will do this, then if I will print a, can anyone tell me what will be the output?
30.
30. First it will print this is f1 function. Will it print this is f1 function or not?
Yes.
Yes, because you are calling the function here. You are calling the function here. So first you will go inside this. it will print this is F1 function, and then it will return A plus B, which is 10 and 20, 30 to A, right? So A is now pointing to 30, means returned value of this function. So if you are printing A, it will give you 30. Let's see that, correct? Now, let's say if I am doing this, A is equal to F1. And if I will print A, then what will be the output?
Should be error
Same,
because
this is
not
F1 function and then 30.
No, error.
But
not
we
passing
are
any
not
We are not
arguments. Yeah,
passing. Yeah.
not defining any argument here.
Mhm. Okay, let's run this. I'm getting this function F1 at this. Now do one thing, print F1. You are getting function F1 at this, right? Both are same ID, correct?
Yes.
Remember I told you even function is also an object in Python.
Yes.
So here when you define a function, so two things happens. One, whatever name you have given here, this name gets created in the variable area F1, and it will have the same ID of the F1 object created in the heap area. One function object will be created in the heap area with the same name F1. Okay, it will have one ID. That ID will be referred by the F1 name in the variable area. Like it was happening in variable A is
Sorry,
equal to 10.
sorry, Abhishek, can you come again?
Okay, so okay, so see, first let me execute this. So I'm debugging it. We are into this. Just observe on the right hand side what are the changes happening. Can you see there is the F1 function object in the heap area which has a ID 8710, and this ID is referred by the F1 name after line number 10 is executed. Clear?
Yeah, okay.
So when you are printing F1, actually you are trying to access this F1 name. So it tells that this F1 name is pointing to this function object at this location. Clear?
Yeah,
Okay. Similarly, when you have written A is equal to F1, so see this F1 is not a function call. With this, what you are saying? You are saying this F1 is pointing to this function object. So A will also, one more reference for this function object will be created in the variable area. Just see that. F1 is what? This ID, and A is what? Same. So A is also pointing to the same ID. F1 is also pointing to the same ID, right? So you remember aliasing in list and dictionary. Do you remember that aliasing? We create a different name for existing object. Aliasing means what?
Yeah,
Create.
it takes a different ID. Even if two
yes,
lists
sir.
have same values, they will have different IDs.
No. Aliasing
Only
is
name will be different.
only name will be different, ID will be same. You are talking about shallow copy. Okay. So probably you have mixed that concept. So aliasing means two different variables will be created, ID will be same, right? So in this case, you can see I'm doing, this is called a function aliasing. Function aliasing, how you can do? So the existing function name you can assign to a different variable. So basically you are creating two reference for the existing function object. Clear? That's why when you are printing A, it is printing the function F1 at this ID. Okay. And when you are printing F1, again, it is printing same function F1 at this ID. Because both are pointing to the same function object, right?
But usually the function we used to call with the open and close braces.
Yeah,
Correct?
that's what. So I'm not calling the, that's what, I'm not calling the function, no.
Okay. Function
I'm just
object.
referring that, correct.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I'm not calling that function. Clear, everyone? Is this clear? What
So
we are
in this case, like, I mean, just we are using that F1 object, correct? Instead of calling the function F1.
Yeah, instead of calling the function, we are just calling the reference of F1.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Clear.
Okay. Madhavendra, I will explain this list dot index function in some time. Shalja print, it will return none type. What is the use? Okay. Shalja name. I will discuss it today. Okay. Fine. So we have created a reference, right? So A and F1 are both pointing to the same function. So now let's say if I will call A, will it call this function? Will it call this function A?
No.
Yes.
Yeah, we have aliased it.
See, F1 is also pointing to the same ID. A is also pointing to the same ID. So why it won't call? It will call, no?
But we are not passing any arguments, correct?
Yes, correct. So that is my error. 1020 passes.
Okay.
You are getting clear?
Yes.
Okay. So this is called function aliasing. Now, so remember this. This is function aliasing. Okay. And if I will write B is equal to this, then if I will call print B, what it will print?
ID will print. ID. ID of function 1.
Return type?
This.
Yeah, the value function 1 will return. This will
Yes, 10 plus 20, 30.
30. And this is function.
Just now we discussed this is function call. So whatever you are returning, that returned value will be referenced by B. So this is something else. This is what returned value will be referenced by this variable, and this is function aliasing. Clear, everyone? Okay, everyone, is this clear?
yes, Abhishek.
Okay. So these two concepts combined together, we create a closure. Both the concepts are combined together and we create a closure. Now, what is closure? Closure returns the inner function. So what we will do, we will return inner. Okay, clear? Now, let's say if I want to call inner function from the global scope, now I can easily write A is equal to F1 function call. Now, can anyone tell me what will be the output here? Inside outer function, inside outer function,
Yes.
right? It will not implement inner function because I'm not doing inner function call anywhere, right? Clear? I'm not doing inner function call anywhere, correct? But now with this, what I'm doing, I'm returning the reference of inner. Remember, this inner is a name, okay? I'm returning the reference of the inner. And here, basically, this will get replaced with what? Inner. And this is nothing but the function aliasing.
Yes.
Right? So A is now pointing to inner. So now if you will do this and call inner, if you want to call inner, you can call A. Now you are able to call the inner functionality from the global scope with the help of a closure. Is this clear, everyone?
Maybe the line number 8, can you please repeat?
Okay. So see, we discussed two things. One is function aliasing, and
Yes.
second one is the returned value. Whatever you return, that value will be represented by this, right?
Yes.
This variable, print B. Now, when you are coming here, so what we are doing, closure is what? Closure function which returns inner function as output. So I'm returning inner function as output here. This is means F1 is a closure. Okay. Now, when you are writing A is equal to F1 function call, F1 function call is what? Just executing this line, line number 3, executing line number 4, not executing line number 5, executing line number 6. Line number 6 is what? It is returning the reference of inner function. See, this is not inner function call, right? It is not inner function call, correct? This is just the reference of inner, correct?
Yes.
So basically you are returning the reference of inner. So finally, after executing the code inside F1, it will return the reference of the inner function. So A is pointing to inner now. Clear?
Mm. Yes.
So now if you will call A, so A is pointing to inner. So now you will be able to call this inner function from the global scope.
So in this case, first we have to call the main one, then we have to call the reference.
Yes, if you want to call, then you need to call this way. If you will write inner, like here directly, if you will write inner, then it will not work. If you will run this, it will not work. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, because inner is not in the global scope, so it will not work. But yes, if you will do it like this, it will work. Okay.
So by default, this F1 now pointing to inner function.
F1 is not pointing to inner function. F1 is returning inner reference. A is pointing to inner function.
Yeah, but it's printing the inner inside inner function as well.
No, it is not
Calling the
printing
inner
inside inner
function.
function. When I'm calling A, then only it is printing inside inner function. Run this, you will not get inside inner function. Okay. When you will call A, then only it will print inside inner function. Okay.
So this
Can we
inner
check
that it
the
is passing, sorry, this inner that it is passing from the function to A, is it passing it as an actual constant, or is it
Just
passing
when
it as a
this
function
one,
itself or a word?
like you did in function aliasing, no, it was passing the reference.
Just the name then, just the name it
Yes,
passes.
just the name, just the name.
Abhishek, can we check the ID of function?
ID of which function, F1 or inner?
Inner and A both.
Inner and A. So you need to check the ID. Okay. Clear?
Yes, got it.
Same. Is this clear? Anyone having any question, please ask. This is the closer. And why we are learning this? Because we will be using all these concepts in the decorator. So I'm first finishing the concept which is required, then I will go to the decorator. Decorator is quite complex topic. I will discuss it in today's class. Probably a lot of confusion might be there with respect to the decorator, but I will recommend you to use it because see, decorator is a kind of topic which even experienced candidate also have a lot of doubt until unless. So you need to understand how it works, like what is the flow of the program. That's it. If you understand that part, then probably you can use it. And whenever you will have the real-time cases, there you will be able to use it, and then you'll be able to understand. So it requires the real-time cases, real-time scenarios. Right now, you need to just understand how it works internally. That's it. Okay. When you need to use it, at that time you will get to know how to use it. But you need to understand the concept for that. I'll start with decorator. So the closure concept is required there because you return one function from decorator. Then the next concept we will be discussing that we can pass one function as an input to another function. So that concept is also required in decorator. So this is one closure concept. Let me know if it is clear. We will move to the next.
Maybe Abhishek, one small doubt. Without calling, without using line number 8 and 9, can't we use the line number 10?
No. What
Okay.
is A then? What is A?
So A is equal to, first we are calling the outer function. So then we are calling the inner one, correct?
Correct.
So without 8, we can't call the 10, line number 10.
No.
Okay. So for
What is
calling,
A then? What is A? Let's say if you don't write 8, then what is A?
A is nothing.
Then
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Abhishek, if there are multiple inner functions, inside inner again one more inner is there, then how we can pass?
you tell me how you will be passing, how you will be defining the closure. So when you have one level of you are passing inner here, right? You will have one more inner function here. Let's say if you have one more inner function there, inner one, correct? And print innermost function, correct? So this function now will return what? Yes, this function will return inner one, right?
Yes.
Correct? Like this.
Then inside F1 again we have to call inner then,
Yeah.
in order to get the inner one.
Yes, correct. Inside F1 you have to call inner to assign the reference of inner one to that variable. So something like this you have to write. Here you have to call B is equal to inner, right? So B will be pointing to inner one. Now you can call B here, right?
Okay.
Fine.
While passing that inner one to the global one, in the return we have to give the B.
Anything, A, B, C, anything.
No. See, if I want to call the inner one outside the function F1, then as a return of F1.
Let's see you can do that multiple return or not. So I'm returning it. What I will do, I will write A of 0, correct? And A of 1, correct? It is work like that.
Okay.
Fine.
Yes.
Then maybe if any layman person will see like it is a indexing of the function.
Yeah, it is indexing because you are returning two values. It is accepted in the form of a tuple.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
It is indexing. Indexing function call with the indexing of tuple. Because your tuple, this A is having a tuple inner and B both, right?
Yes.
Correct? So you have to access one function to call. So for first function is at 0 index, you are accessing that and then you are doing the function call. Okay. This is the basic concepts of you can return multiple values, you know that. In return, you can return multiple values, but that will be accepted in the form of a tuple, right? So A is now a tuple, and to access one function reference, you have to do the indexing.
Okay.
Okay.
Abhishek, just one doubt. This A of 0 is pointing to this inner.
Yes.
And A of 1 is pointing to inner 1.
B. Yes. You can say B and in turn inner one. Okay. You can say inner one directly.
Okay. So similarly, using this indexes A of 0, A of 1, A of 2, we are going to call the inner functions, like nested functions.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, correct. We are assigning the whole function call, like return, whole function call, and whatever it returns, we are assigning it to a Jinka. Okay. We are first calling, and whatever value it returns, we are assigning those all values to a single variable. This is tuple packing. Correct. Multiple values to a single variable. Okay. So let's move. I think we are done with the closure. Next, we will see passing function as an argument to another function. Okay, you need to write one code. You need to define one function is even function, which will take one number and it will return true if number is even, else it will return false. Okay, this is first function. Second, you will be having one sequence is equal to a list 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. There is a sequence. You will define one function, let's say filter underscore sequence. This function will take two arguments. Which two argument it will take? The first, it will take the function, first function itself is underscore even. Okay, you are passing one function as an argument, and second, it will take sequence. Okay, now what this function will return? It will return a list of all even numbers from the given sequence. Understood? Don't use built-in filter function. You have to define this function using def keyword. Okay. Finally, call this filter sequence function. Call this filter sequence function where you are going to pass this function as an argument and sequence. Okay. So it will give you the list, whatever you have returned here. Everyone got the question? Hello, is this clear? Do fast. We have to finish function today. We have to go to file handling. We have to finish that also today. Otherwise, after tomorrow, we don't have any extra class. Learnbay has spared me with one more class. Okay. So please do it fast. Let me know if you understood the question. Are you going to try it?
I have one doubt in sequence. SEQ is equals to your mentioned list. So this is the parameters for sequence
Correct.
function, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and these parameters we are going to check whether these are even or not. If even, then we need
These
to
values,
return
which is even, then we will append it into a new list, and the value which is not even, we will not append it into the new list. Okay, so you'll be writing the logic here for that inside filter sequence.
Okay.
Okay, try the code. Do it fast. 5 minutes. 120, 125. Is it more? Let's do it 123.
Abhishek, is a filter sequence is also a function?
Yes, filter sequence is also a function. Is it done?
Yes, Abhishek. I have done, but I'm not able to paste the code. So what I did is like I have defined the e-is-even function with passing a num as a variable, and I'm checking if the num is percentage of 2 is equal to 0, then return true, else return false. Then I have defined the sequence as you were given, and then I have defined the one more filter sequence function with the variable as e is even, comma sequence.
Hmm.
Then I'm defining one L as a empty list.
Hmm.
Then for I in sequence, if e is even of I is equal to 2, then I'm appending the L with the I value,
Yeah,
then
done.
returning the L.
Okay. Return true if num percentile 2 equal to 0, else false, right? Okay, so it will return true if the number is even, otherwise it is false. Now what I'm going to do, I will do here, I'll return a list. Return a list of number for I in sequence if is underscore even, let me write it I here, if is underscore even of I equal to true, right? So now if I will call this IRTER, print, so def. Okay, so I'm getting all the even numbers, right? Clear?
In the written itself, we can perform if conditions and everything.
Yeah, I've used this loop comprehension.
Sorry?
Loop comprehension. I have not covered this.
Okay.
Didn't I cover this in loop?
No,
In list.
no comprehension we are not correct.
Okay, we are left with comprehension. List comprehension is nothing but it is the short form of creating the loop, list. Okay, so
Short
as
form
I
of?
always say, sorry.
We didn't get short form of?
Short form of creating a list, okay, based on some condition and by running the loop. Okay. So let's say I want to create a list of 10 numbers. I can write for I in range.
Yes.
And I can write here 10. And then I will take one empty list, L is equal to this. And I will write here L dot append I. Okay. Now I want to write the condition that if I percentile 2 equal to 0 means I want to take only even numbers, then I will be doing probably this, right? So now if I will print L, then probably this will be the answer, right? Correct?
Yes.
But this is the same thing you can do using list comprehension. What you can do, L is equal to list comprehension syntax is what? You want to create a list, so first you will give a list, okay? Now, you will write the loop for I in range 10. You want to generate the number between 10, 0 to 10. And you want to take those numbers, so you will hold that number into the list. So what this will do, it will create a list of all the numbers between 1 to 10. So if you will print L here, so what you will get? You will get this 0, 1, 2. So let me comment this. You will get all the numbers from 0 to 10. 9, right? You have got all this. But your requirement is what? Your requirement, you want only even numbers. So you will write if I percentile 2 equal to 0, then it will select only even numbers.
But here for I we understood, but before for loop, why we kept as a one more I?
I, because we are holding every value of I when this loop is running.
Okay, okay.
That is the I which is getting appended into this list.
Okay, instead of the print function of I, we are using directly for the I.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Or what in case of nested if statement we have?
Nested if statement, if you have if I percentile 2 equal to 0, what else you want to have? See, this is very simple kind of loop if you want to create. If you want to create, you have multiple conditions and multiple loops, then probably it becomes quite difficult. Okay. If simple loop you want to create, you can go for loop comprehension. You will see a lot of example with respect to this. Okay. These all are the things which are I'm not getting the result. Who is not getting the result? Suresh. True, else return A. No, if it is even, then directly return num. No, return true. Directly return true. And this true and false, you should not return it like this. See, I have not kept it inside this quotation. Okay.
In the else condition, no need to keep as a return statement. Okay, we are doing the list comprehension.
Yeah. Okay.
And one more thing, in the line number 5 filter sequence, we are calling the function and we have one argument. So in that case, no need of passing argument while calling one function.
I'm not calling the function. No, this is I'm passing the parameter. I'm not calling this is an underscore even, right?
Okay,
I'm calling it here. See, when do you call the function with a pair of parentheses?
Yes.
I'm calling it here. This is not function call.
Okay, that is not a function call.
No, this is just parameter. I could have used A. Okay, I could have used A here. I could have used B here. Okay, this is just a name, no. So here you can write A instead of this, and B where it is instead of sequence, you can write B. Now you run this, you'll get the same output.
Okay, I thought, we have to call inside another function.
No.
Okay. Got it.
For me, the append is not working in the web code. I replace it with new list dot append I. Append, append function doesn't take square bracket, it takes small bracket. Suresh, check the syntax. Okay.
So, Abhishek,
yes.
I have one question. In case of you are returning the value like I for I in sequence of, if we that sentence you are given, right, in the filter sequence. So when I am outside the loop, outside the function, if I am printing filter SEQ means, while it is returning means it will be returning multiple times I.
No, it will return one list. I'm returning one list, no?
No. You have given, you have not given like return A equal to I for I in, means in that case A would have returned with the list of containing the I value. But here you are giving the directly you are telling that return I for I in.
No, I'm not. One minute. I'm not returning I. See here, this is list comprehension which needs a square bracket around it. If you are printing L, it is printing that this is the list, right?
Okay.
This whole thing returns a list. So this whole thing is returning a list, right?
Okay, got it. Means all the values will be present in that particular list itself.
Yes.
Then it can be assigned to a variable or it can be directly returned.
Correct.
Okay.
Abhishek, don't mind. We are passing a function as an argument to another function. So in the line number 8, we could see that we are calling the another function. Correct? But
No, we are not calling another function. This is function call. Filter sequence, I'm calling this function, and I'm passing one function as an argument to this function.
Yeah. That is what I'm talking, because is even is another function.
Yes.
So does this mean that if see one function is defined globally and another function is also next to it, in that case it cannot use the one we have defined previously unless it is passed by as an argument.
No, what I want to show you here is, I don't know what you said, but yes, what you can understand from here is that you can pass one function as an argument to another function. That is the main thing.
Okay. My question is that must in order to pass an function if it is defined outside the function?
Yes, obviously you need, if you want to pass this function as an argument to another function, then obviously you should define it. And order is not matter. I can define this function after filter function also. That doesn't matter. Okay, I can define it here also.
But is underscore even function, we have one argument and we are not passing when we are calling into the another function.
No, why I will pass? I'm passing here. No, when you will call, then you will pass the argument to this is underscore even function. See, this is underscore even, I'm just passing the reference of is underscore even that I inside this function, like let's say this filter sequence, or let's say any function when you pass the value here, right? 10, 20.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Fine. When you call the function, correct? And inside the definition, you have this, right? Two variables which will store. So inside function, if you will do any operation, you will call this A and B, right? Not this X and Y. Let's say if you have X comma Y is equal to 10, 20. So you will not call this X and Y inside this function, isn't it? You will call this A and B because your A and B has this 10 and 20, right?
Yes, exactly.
Right. So now this A is nothing but a name which is pointing to is underscore even, and is underscore even is also a name which is pointing to is underscore even function object.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm passing just the name. I'm not calling the function here in this line number 9.
But I mean, in the same way, is underscore even is not a object. We haven't created anywhere the object.
No, we have created is underscore even. We have created here.
That is a function. Maybe I'm confused. Right?
You are totally confused. Not little bit. Totally.
Yes.
See, I showed you here this with this example. What I showed you. See, this name and object are two different things. Okay. Function name and function object are two different things. If you are running this code, so see, filter sequence is one function object which is created in heap, and filter sequence is a name in the variable, right? Similarly, is underscore even is a function object inside heap, and is underscore even is a name in variable.
Yes.
Now, when you are calling filter sequence, so filter sequence is having one argument is underscore even. Which is underscore even? Not this function object. You are passing reference. Okay. Because when you will be able to call this function object, when you will be having brackets around it, then only this function object will be called.
Okay. So whenever we are passing one function as an argument, we have to call it as only that particular reference.
Yes, only reference.
Okay, got it. Clear.
Suresh, I tried with the small bracket also. Sarjan has done this. Sarjan, you may check this. Probably it will not work your code. I don't know whether it is giving you the output. And yours one should work, but what error you are getting, I need to check. Print new list. You need to call filter sequence, Suresh. You need to call filter sequence, right? Then only you will get the result. And use this small bracket, not square bracket. Suresh. Okay, like I'm calling this filter sequence, you need to call that filter sequence, okay? So we have discussed this concept where we can pass one function as an argument, first thing. Second thing, we have discussed the concept of closure also.